Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. Mike, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show, and I'm not going to act like we didn't just talk for like 30 minutes off air. Dude, it's a pleasure to see you again, man. Man, I missed you.
Hell yeah, bro. I miss you too, homie, man. A lot's been going on my way, man. I mean, a lot too, bro. Like the last time we talked, I don't even think I had a spot yet. I was still living with my friend. So me and my old lady, we got a house now. Um, I remember I was telling you about doing voiceover work and trying to get into voiceover stuff. Well, that actually happened. I built this fucking homemade studio, you know what I mean? And I jumped back into the classes and stuff with that. I've been ACX certified, so now I can record things from my house and make it sound professional. Um, I got my demo just a few weeks ago. They sent me my demo. They've mastered it and finished it and cleaned it up. So I've been putting into little bits by little bits, brother.
I'm gonna have to get you for some narration work. I got some little project I'm working on. I'd love to insert you in there.
Not a problem at all, homie.
You got that nice bassy voice. It's very, very soothing.
Yeah. What did the woman tell me? My voice coach was like, it's very buttery.
It is. It is. I don't know what that is though, because like some people tell me that like your voice is like very like nice, and I was like, that's the thing. When I listen to it, I'm like, I can't. I just can't even listen to even when I do like the editing stuff. I'm like, no way, man. I just can't hear it.
See that? Look, I told you that before. Because see, my voice coach, that was the first thing they asked me. Like, do you like how your voice sounds? And I'm like, yeah, I love my voice. And I'm like, I told you, I was like, man, your voice is good, but a lot of people don't like what they hear from themselves.
Oh,
And I'm
okay,
like, I never thought about that. But then I thought about you when she told me that. I was like, I know a guy that doesn't like his voice, but his voice is a very good voice.
thank
And
you.
you were the first person that popped up.
I just want something that's like iconic. You know, when you're like walking by somebody and you go hello, and then just they say something, you just go, "What the hell was that?" And you go, "Excuse me, real quick, do you mind just saying some more words?" And you're like, "What do you want me to say?" And you're like, "Anything. Just here's my phone. I want you to do my voicemail and anything. Just say you're a lovely person." And it's like, "You want me to talk about myself?" It's like, "Yeah, I'll make a voicemail where someone 100%." And then it's like Steve Earl Jones. Is that who it is? James Earl Jones? James Earl Jones is the name. That is a voice that it's 1 in a million. Sometimes you get that, I don't know what happens, but you get that 1 in a million voice. It doesn't start out that way, but it ends up that way.
Yeah, like so when I got into the voiceover thing, it was crazy how it all happened because like you were one of the people that told me that you like my voice. We've had people on our podcast that plenty of people saying they love the voice, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to work and I was pissed off about having to go to work. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, I got kids, old lady, the whole nine. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I at with my shit? And Steve Harvey came on. I was listening to Steve Harvey morning, and this was crazy. He goes, "You got to find your gift. God gave you a gift that only you have, and that's what you use to succeed in life." And I'm like, "Well, what the fuck do I have? I mean, I can draw a little bit. I'm studious. I mean, there's not too many things I can't learn how to do, but." I don't look at that as the gift that God gave me being able to learn because all of us can learn. So that same day, I'm at a client stop and I'm talking to him about his receipt, and this woman is just eyeballing me and she's just smiling with this huge grin.
Is she licking her lips? She licking the lips?
Bruh, she was undressing me with her eyes, bro. I felt it. Like it felt like I got fucked when I having the fuck. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like.
Look, I've
Like
had that stare happen a couple times where eventually you're just kind of like, do they have x-ray vision? Like, what are you looking at?
yeah, I'm like, yo, you got to pay me for this. You know what I'm saying? So I look at her and I'm like, well, how are you doing? And she was like, I'm doing great. Just talk to me. And I'm like, what? And she's like, I just want you to talk to me. I don't care what you say, just talk to me. And I'm like, oh wow. I don't know what's wrong with you, but that's like red flag territory. You have yourself a nice day, sweetheart. I'm gonna go ahead and get on back in my truck and get the fuck up out of here. You might try to like hit me in the back of the head with a brick and put me in the trunk. But while I'm driving, I'm like, wait a minute. that's my gift. God gave me this voice, and nobody sounds like me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, there's my talent. Let me really see what this voiceover stuff is working with. If I'm gonna do this, jump into it and just go. And that's what I did. And it's been it's been a great experience, man. It really has. The stuff I'm learning about auditioning and audio equipment and how getting your audio to work right and editing and mixing music and background noise. It's amazing shit, bro.
We'll get into it a little bit more. I mean, I'll connect you with some friends. I probably should have did this now that I know you're actually taking off into the interest of it. That I have some friends that are professional voice actors that can probably give you some really good tips that they learned throughout their many years of one. A good friend of mine who narrates a lot of my stuff, Casper Michael. Shout out to him. He's got a good voice too, but he does like I forgot what the Mystery Cities Abandoned. There's like there's documentary series about investigating places and things of that sort. So he does a
I've
lot of stuff
seen
for
it.
like yeah.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of stuff like the BBC. He works for a lot of voice acting companies and things of that sort. And he's got like he knows all the tech and all that type of stuff. So he'll be able to guide you out in that direction. I mean, that's the big thing is like if I look at like what I learned through the years I've done podcasting, honestly, at this point, if I see another WAV file, I'll throw up. 100%.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't look at
yeah.
them anymore. It's just like that's the worst thing about like I can do the conversation stuff. That's not difficult. The difficult part is the editing stuff because there's something like one dude I was talking to and we're talking about like he was a activist. He was in Cuba. He worked for Fidel Castro at some point, and he just goes, he's like starts saying, he goes, "We need to take all these people." And then he says something. I go, "You can't say that. You can't say that. Don't say that at all." And he goes, "Well, cut it out." And then I go, "Fine." And then like we're just talking, and like the stuff he said, I was like, "Bro," I was like, "Give me like 2 minutes." Like, I mean, you got to say like a straight sentence before you start saying death on people. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I could say that on YouTube. To be it was repeating something, you can't. And I was just like, I know so much about the guidelines now because I've had to deal with issues where videos were getting flagged for no apparent reason. Where I was like, oh, it's just the subject matter that I want to talk about. And you want to talk about a gift from God. I think my gift is the fact of I'm not ignorant, in the sense of like being I wouldn't say I'm oblivious to the factors of things you can't talk about, but I just don't see any topics that shouldn't have a conversation aspect to it. Like you can't stigmatize conversation. And there's like certain things that people go, you shouldn't be talking about that, or I don't want to talk about that. It's like, what is that? Like, why can't we?
But see, that thing right there gets me when people say, "Oh, you can't talk about this." Well, why not? Why can't we have a conversation about shit? Now, I get that some people get uncomfortable. I get that, and it's not a a subject that a lot of people like talking about sometimes. But at the same time, if you have a conversation about it, you can learn a lot from each other just talking.
Well, it's like even like with anything that could be considered like conspiratorial and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Oh man,
I'm like,
what?
bruh, like, come on now. Like, what is this talk? What are we're meant to have fun. We're meant to have like this. But even our conversation we did on your show, would be something that people are like, you can't talk about stuff like that. I'm like, I can't talk about my favorite actor or favorite person in the world is Mariah Carey. And they're like, you can't talk about that. I was like, why? They're like the relationship with Nick Cannon. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I just want to talk about Mariah Carey.
Yeah, and I think it's because, like again, people don't become so sensitive. Like I look at shit when I'm looking at comedians doing their stand up. It's not the same to me anymore. You know what I mean? It's like it's a hearty. It's not a hearty. Oh, I'm dying laughing. You know, you clapping like Def Jam comedy show. You know, you clapping and you stomping and you crying. You know what I mean? It's more like, okay. I get why you had to say it that way, but I mean, you could have really cleaned up your punchline if you would have just said this and just hit a motherfucker with it, you know, but you can't do that now. For what reason I don't know. Like that's why I think Hollywood and the movies that they do are shitty because they don't have the freedom to express what really they should be expressing. Like comedy is gonna be fucking raunchy, racy. I mean, everything under the sun, but that's what makes it funny because there's no malice behind it. You're just poking fun at shit. Oh, but you can't poke fun at people because it hurts their feelings. If you don't like something, you don't have to watch it. If you don't like listening to something, you don't have to listen. But yet people choose to do that so they can choose to be mad or fake mad about something.
Well, we were talking about this off air, but I was watching Kung Fu Hustle, and it's the
One of the
best.
best
Yeah,
parodies.
best. I mean, you would honestly, it's so much of a parody that it just feels like, is this a real like kung fu movie? Because it just kind of like it, it's like taking bits and pieces of every type of comedical thing out there. But one of the persons on there, the guy who has like the 5 rings that goes around his arm, if anybody has ever
Yeah.
seen, it's from 2004. I'm not spoiling anything, but the one lady, when she's yelling at him, kept calling him a fairy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that would not happen today. But I don't think China cares about any of that type of stuff. They're like, we're going to make a movie. And even if they made a movie today, I guarantee you they'll still use the same thing. They don't care about any of that type of stuff.
Nah.
And I mean, honestly, if you examine film through like the academy or the academic style of how people examine films, you can find problems with every single thing. I mean, you can,
Oh man.
it's like predicting intent, which I think is just damn near impossible, but somehow all of society has just tried to predict what a person means instead of just asking, which is like,
Yep.
so like if you're watching a film like I Am Legend, is it a film that would be canceled? I'm like, well, analyze it from an academic standpoint. You have a guy who's alone that loses his dog. So now you're already messing with animal rights because this dog has to die in the film. So you can really just like, and that's what it was. And that's kind of when you examine some things of way academics examine films, is really taking a quality of something that you don't necessarily should be harping on and then expanding it out to the point where it becomes the problem. And then you start looking at it, you're like, damn it, like Big Lebowski would not last today. Walter Sobchak is a Vietnam PTSD guy, and they're basically making fun of veterans because he's in there like, all my buddies are lying in the muck, and he just sounds unstable. And it's like, all right.
Look, there's so many movies that wouldn't be get made today. Blazing Saddles, one of those movies that would not be able to be made today. You know, Police Academy, a great comedy joint, couldn't play today with just the Blue Oyster scene alone.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
You know, people would lose their shit. You know, you got people mad about taking books out the libraries and this over here and this over here. And I'm like, you know what? If you actually pay attention, the more we divide it, the more easier your mind controlled. If you stop paying attention to the bullshit, you're gonna see the stuff that they're doing behind the curtains to you, you know? And it's like people want to be mad, but for what? Like, I enjoy my life, you know?
Yeah.
Life is short. You only get this fucker one time. Enjoy it. You know, granted, you're gonna have fucked up things happen. That's because life be lifing. That's all
Yeah.
it is to it, you know. But you got to take joy out of that shit. You know, there's people that wake up that don't get to see that, you know, that woke up, planned on today and got to see today, and other people planned on it and didn't get to see today. So, you know, what am I gonna be mad about? I try to be, you know, as humble as possible with things. And I look at people when they get pissed off about shit, and I'm like, hey, you got to remember something. You're only gonna go through this for a little bit, and then it'll be good again. You know, yeah, shit's fucked up, shit's bad. You might not make as much money as you fucking wanted. You might not fucking have the house or the girl or the car or whatever, but you're given opportunities to improve on that. And then you got to slowly make the steps to do it. It's just not, you're not going to get the genie in the bottle type shit. You know, you're not going to rub a magic lamp. I mean, trust me, I've been looking for a goddamn sugar mama, bingo halls, all that shit. Still,
I've thought about it. I've thought about it.
what, you know what, where you're at, you could probably pull one, man.
Oh my God, I'm telling you, there's this. I don't even want to say it just in case somebody. I know people from my work listen to me, so I don't even want to say it. But I work at a
But
gym.
yeah,
Dude, there's some that are like, "Oh, how old are you?" And like, "Your kid's my age?" And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "And what?" And then someone goes, "Oh, they have old Ocean City money." I was like, "What?" Like,
exactly.
they're
Yeah,
one of those names that like they own a lot and they're connected to a lot. And I'm like, you know
you
what?
need to tap in.
And she's not bad. And I'm like, look, once a week I have to deal with that, and then I just get to drive around in a McLaren all day. Come on, brother,
Look,
brother. brother.
You're setting on something that you don't even know. You got an untapped resource you might just want to dabble in.
It's a gold mine. Invest, invest, invest.
You know, there's nothing wrong with sticking your toe in the water just to see what it's working with. You
Yeah,
know
but
what I
then
mean?
that movie, what was it with the old guy, old or young guy, but he's like dating all those old women. It was a movie that came out relatively recently, and he
Oh, I
was,
don't remember, but I
but
know what you're talking
you've
about.
probably seen trailers for it. I don't even think I've seen it, but that just steered me away from that life in general. I was like, yeah, but you got to build something for yourself. Like that's the thing is like, what are you going to willing to put the time in that invests into something? You got to invest in yourself. It's just about where do you invest? And I mean, it goes back to
Uh-huh.
did you were spouting off a lot of like motivational wisdom a minute ago. Is Steve Harvey telling you all this? Like, do I have to listen to Steve Harvey and he's going to tell me to motivate my life?
This is me, man. Like I said, when I went through my divorce, it was in a dark period, and I've worked myself out of it. And going through therapy, reading a lot of self-help books, and really just getting in tune with myself as a person. Because I was married at shit. When did I get married? Fuck. God damn, when did I get married? I got married when I was like 20.
I was like, don't ask me.
Yeah. But so, at that time I thought, okay, I'm married, got the house, got the kids, this is what I thought life should be. And that's what I just focused on was wife, kids, home. I didn't really take time for me. And at the time I didn't understand all that. And then when that shit got blown out the water, it's like all you have is yourself now. And it's like, well, what the fuck do I do? For 10 years, I was husband provider. And now I'm by myself. And I didn't know how to be by myself for a long time. Like, I'm not used to this. Like, the fuck do I do? All right, let's try things we used to do. Let's go to the bar. Man, that shit was a fucking headache. Oh my God, going to the bars. Oh my goodness. That was like, it was almost like a toothache. Like, yeah, I used to be able to do this. I can't do this shit no more. You know what I mean? So it was like venturing out, going, meeting up with friends, and like having little cookouts and just little get-togethers, man. And tapping back into what a joy that I didn't have before. Like me and my buddies just recently, my buddies that I used to work with, we go on these beach trips, and I went on the beach trip 4 years ago, and I found my peace, out there just sitting on the beach, and I seen like a fuck ton of dolphins just swimming, and it blew my mind because I've only seen it on TV the way I saw it out there in that ocean. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, that's got to be some amazing shit. And then we had a hell of a laugh. We got fucked up that day. And I laughed so hard that my ribs were hurting the next morning. I'm like, holy shit, I needed that. That's what I needed. And that kind of reset me. So now it's like, I take time out for myself. I'm still providing for my kids and my old lady and everything, but I also take the time out for me now. And I'm like, that's what I was missing before that I didn't realize was like, oh shit, you know, I got my little hobbies. I got my podcast to do with my buddies every Sunday. That's something that we crank on to. You know, I dipped into the voiceover stuff. I like learning a lot of things. So I get my books. I read my books. On many different things, and and it's like a thirst that I'm trying to constantly quench, but it feels good doing it. Just taking that time to do these things, and it's like, all right, this is what I was missing those years ago. Like I didn't know that I should be taking care of me as long as because I was like, as long as I'm taking care of the family, fuck whatever I gotta do. I ain't even worried about my shit. My shit can take a back burner as long as everybody else is good and I'm taking care of them. Fuck what I need to do. My life doesn't matter. It does, but I didn't know it then. I had to go through bullshit to figure out the good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think like a lot of that, like I mean, even at like 25 or whatever it is, everyone thinks, oh, you need to have two kids, you need to have a house, you need to have this. And it's like, we don't like the TV said that. Like, I think even like Rugrats, the parents were like, I think in their 30s and they looked like they were like 60 years old. I was like, that's just not the times. But
They
even
were
like
beat up.
yeah, I know. God. But
Man, they was rough.
they were rough around the edges.
Man, were they now?
But like even like what you said about getting a house, I'm like, that's a really big accomplishment, especially now. I mean, look at what $200 worth. My buddy put up a picture of $200 worth of groceries. And it was, I mean, dude, it would make your mind blow at just $200 worth of groceries. I just spent $60 on groceries and I barely got really anything. I think it's going to last me the week. But it's like
Bruh.
the times are a lot different. I mean, getting a house when you're 30 is difficult. I mean, getting a house when you're 40 and you're with someone is a little bit easier. But at that point, I
It's
mean,
still just as fucking difficult now.
oh God, dude, the anxiety from just like I'm like, oh God, I need to get this done and get this done and get this done. And you telling me, no, you don't. I'm like, oh God, dude, just like you don't understand the pressure that comes on.
Oh man, oh believe me, I know because I mean I still go through it. Like we're renting our house that we're in right now. You know,
Well,
we're
tell me
we,
about it. Were you available to be able to pick a spot to do that? Like, are you like, did you pick a house that you wanted, or was this something that was like first house and then you got it?
this is how crazy this shit went. Okay, so when what was it? Last year or year before last, when the housing market started going bananas and they started uh like people when they were buying house because we were going to buy a house and we were all set like we had our shit lined up to buy a house, but people were buying houses without looking at them. They were just buying them, you know, putting contracts on them, right?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say they were buying houses without like there wasn't a roof on the house. It's like, what'd you buy?
There
Gonna
were some
flood.
people that were like that. There were some places that were like that. And it wasn't even people buying it. It was corporations buying houses like this. And it was getting crazy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why are developers get like what I get it that they have the money like right now up front. Here's the money. I'm paying for this. You know, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna tear it down anyway and put some other shit up. But I'm like, God damn, you know, all right, cool. So we're like, we're not gonna buy. Let's go ahead. Let's try to go rent something. So then the same thing that was happening with the renter market, like people were putting contracts in without going to see houses. Like we went to one spot and it was funny because the guy had posted it at like 6:30 at night. I call him at 6:45. Hey, me and my girl were interested in checking this house out. Can we come by in the morning at 10 o'clock? He goes, yeah, sure. All right, cool. Got to the house at 10 o'clock. The guy said, I already have 4 contracts on it. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. How's that even possible? You put it on at 6:30. I talked to you 6:45. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Who the hell came and looked at the house before us? He goes, no, y'all the first ones to come look at the house. So wait a minute, you got contracts on a house that people hadn't come by and seen yet? He goes, yeah. You know what? I don't want to deal with it. So we talked to our friend and she was like, look, y'all can stay here as long as y'all need to. It's no problem. So my girl came up with this idea. She goes, hey, what if we looked in the newspaper? And I was like, give it a shot. Like we've been online this whole time. Like, go for it. So she found this house in the newspaper that wasn't online. Contacted the realtor. The realtor was this older lady, right? She had to be in her late 60s, early 70s. She said, hey, I'm renting this
Looking
house
for a
out.
sugar mama?
Well, no, hold
Can
on.
you find those in the newspaper? Fuck, I've been looking in the wrong spots.
You maybe. I'm telling you, bingo night is probably the key. But she goes, well, I'm renting this house out for a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. And she was like, you know, I put it in the newspapers because I've been watching what's been going on. And people are just getting these houses or tearing them up or renting them and renting them out again to somebody else. She's like, I don't want to deal with that kind of headache. So we talked to her. She was like, look, you guys are the 4th people to come by and look at this house with interest. And you guys are the ones that I am rooting for. And I'm going to tell him to give it to you guys. And we're like, what? All right. Cause I mean, the house is the right size, right, right price, fucking enough yard for the kids to be in. Like it's on an acre of land. You know what I mean? 1,800 square feet, which is big enough for everybody. You know what I mean? And it worked in our budget perfectly. And I'm like, yo, let's go ahead, cop this now. We'll get ourselves together to get situated to buy a house. But then fucking inflation came and blew shit out the water. Then that fucking Fed started doing the interest rate hikes, which fucked us up even more. Then they talked about something that just happened here back in the beginning of May, because me and my girl were pissed off at this one, where they're like, all right, if you have good credit, your interest rate on a house now is going to be more, you're going to pay more for that mortgage than somebody with bad credit. I'm like, I've busted my ass since I got my credit back up to par to keep it in good graces so I could come in there with a good deal. And now you're telling me all that work was for some bullshit that it don't matter now? Then why the fuck do I got good credit? Why'd I just have
You're
fucked up credit?
asking the questions then that they don't like. This is what we were talking about. This is why you can't it's like the really simple shit. It's like, why is that? Wait, so I have to take money out, go in debt, then get out of debt to build credit, to get this and get that. That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, why if I have the money, why would you put me in a situation and anxiety of not having money than to try and pay that back? So what is that about? And they just go, well, we're testing your loyalty. I'm like, isn't what? If I make the payments on time and you get everything at the exact time, but you want me to go into debt, so I have to work my ass off for you to get out of that debt to prove that I'm loyal to you and I'm responsible for paying back a debt. And they go, yes. And that's how you build credit? Yes. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. And they're like, I know, but you're going to do it anyway. And you're like, damn.
And then the bad part is once you pay off that debt, it tanks your credit. Like your credit gets hit because you've paid it off because you don't have no more debt for them to track. I'm like, yo, y'all, y'all, that y'all some foul motherfuckers.
Exactly. It's like always be in debt so you can never leave the country. You can never go anywhere or do anything of that because you got to remember there's this debt and we always have this over you. That's look, I get the guy who played in Blade, the one that didn't pay taxes. I understand it now, 100%. Fuck the
Wesley
system.
Snipes, fuck the
Jesus.
system. Because technically, as many people say, we don't need to be paid taxes. We don't need to. It's not constitutional for us to pay taxes, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But guess what? When you don't pay them, they come and lock your ass up.
Exactly.
So do you want to go to jail or do you just want to go ahead and pay this
If
bullshit?
you
Because they're
had
going to take it
everybody
from your ass
following
anyway.
suit on it, then it would work out. But then there's like other things that like if it's just one person, they got it so rigged to, and that's the issue is like if you're really trying to accomplish anything. I got to ask about the house thing. We got to go back to this. If you were going to have be able to pick a home, what would you pick? I mean, you had full scale market, anything you wanted. What are the qualities that you would want in a home compared to what you would just be happy with?
Okay. I'd have to have at least an acre or more for a yard.
Okay.
Um,
For barbecues, or is it just because you like sitting out on the porch and looking at the yard and stuff?
it's a both. It's both. You know what I mean? Just have. I need to have space. I want to have. I don't want to be close to anybody. Like not on top of each other, but I want to be able to. If I want to go outside and walk butt ass naked outside and piss in my yard, I want to be able to do that.
God damn.
You know
Don't
what I
be
mean?
near any neighbors.
That's what I'm saying. I want to have that freedom where I can, you know what? I got to pee this morning. Like I'm on the porch, I'm scratching my balls, I'm butt ass naked. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just go pee right here next to this bush. You know what I mean? Um, at least probably I would say a one level, but if I had a one level, I want to have like a big ass garage for like a man cave area. If not, have a basement that's finished just for me. You know what I mean? And just space for the kids. That's it, really. And maybe an extra bedroom for somebody to stay. I'm real simple with it. But when you look at the houses, they're matchboxes. Like it's just wood and fucking plyboard, and it's the shit can go up in flames. It's not built like the house I'm in right now is over 100 years old. This fucker is built to last,
Like
bruh. Like,
brick.
yeah, like this motherfucker is a solid ass house. This house, if it was to ever go on sale, I guarantee you, and with the houses that are around it that made the equity of this house go up, this house would easily sell for 600, seven
Does it
hundred
have a
thousand.
fireplace?
It used to. It used
Okay.
to. They sealed it off. They had a fireplace downstairs and upstairs. So they sealed both of them off.
An upstairs fireplace? That's bold. I've never seen that before.
Oh, and these old country houses, bro. Yeah, like that. My grandmother's house had a fireplace downstairs and upstairs.
Damn, I've never even heard of that before. I'm so used to like in Baltimore or just, I mean, over here, there's kind of older houses, but a lot of stuff is more newer, especially like when you get into Ocean City because it kept expanding. But like the only old house I can really think of is like some of those row homes where it goes into the floor a little bit. Like it's not technically a basement, but it's also
It
like
was like
not
another
really a
apartment. It's
downstairs.
not even an apartment. It's like a little area.
Yeah, I mean, well, just the homes like there's like you walk up the steps, go up to the front door, and then there's an upstairs part where it goes to the first floor, and then there's also a split where it goes downstairs into like the what you would call like the basement. So like it's not an apartment, but it's your home, but it's like it sinks into the ground, which is just weird. And I realize you can't do that in New Orleans because flooding.
Flooding.
In
Yep.
New Orleans, yeah, they don't have any of those homes that go under like that, but that's like a very common thing in Baltimore. A lot of the houses just like look like they're one story, but no, the one story goes up, and then the other part is the whole basement down below where people keep like a treadmill. I know my grandpa had a treadmill and had socks hanging over it and shit like that. We used to stay over his house, and that's where I remember watching Back to the Future movies. And then I was like, I think I was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm gonna go on the treadmill, and I was like 6 at the time. I got stuck under the fucking thing while it was on. Dude,
And that's
never
one of them
again.
old school joints too. That's an old school joint, man. That heavy fucker right there.
There's no
Because
emergency cable. There's no emergency cable to pull.
it didn't fold up or none of that, man. It was just there. It's heavy ass. That's why they kept them, because they couldn't get rid of them.
How many how many shins have been busted on a corner of one of them things?
Oh my goodness. Oh man, I remember my aunt had one of those, yo. But out here, yeah, man, old country. If the house is anywhere, I want to say maybe 80, yeah, 80 years or older. It probably had if it had a upstairs and it didn't have no central air or central heat, most likely they had a fireplace at one point upstairs.
I just wouldn't want to live in anywhere like where like I like Ocean City, but I wouldn't want to live where like the walls are paper thin. I used to live in like a townhome with my dad, and my brother used to live there briefly for a little bit of time. He's 4 years older than me. And I remember one day I was sitting there playing video games and I just heard a achoo, and it was the neighbor. And I just went, bless you. And then I'm like, the walls are that thin. And
Yeah.
I go, "Oh my god, dude!" Back in my days of playing Xbox, the screaming and all that type of stuff of that other kids online and shit, I was like, "Yo, I feel so bad." And I think that's when I stopped playing video games. But there was like, I was like, I would never want to live in a home right beside someone else's home with walls that thin. It's just there's no privacy. That you want a little bit of privacy or the illusion
It
of
really
privacy.
isn't. Yeah, because I lived in a home like that. This was when I was 25, 26. My girlfriend at the time, we had this townhouse and we were chilling. And you in the bedroom doing the thing, you know what I mean? And our headboard was hitting the wall. So the neighbor would get mad and they would bang back. And I'm like, oh shit, you hear him yelling. I'm like, man, fuck you, get yours. I'm getting mine. You know what I'm saying? And then you walk outside, you see the motherfucker like, yo, he said, man, you gotta keep it down. Motherfucker, get yours. Don't pay it on mine. Get some earplugs. Like, it ain't my fault that you can hear everything going on in my place and I can hear everything going on in your place.
Dude
That's
just
your
walks
problem.
over, knocks on the door, and goes, "Look, man, I got a bunch of fucking photos on the wall. And every time you have a little bit of fun, and I'm happy for you, he gives you like a nice fist pound or something like that because, dude, I got to buy frames every fucking week. Cut it back." Like,
Bro, I'm
geez.
telling you, it was crazy, man, because you literally not only do you hear everything, you smell everything. Like what they were cooking, what you're cooking.
Oh,
It's like,
if they're making something with like sausages or like one of those old bratwurst type things, I will vomit all over the place. I can't
oh,
stand that
bruh,
smell.
what you really don't do, like cheddar brats?
I don't know what happened. I got really like sick when I was a kid one time, and I remember my dad loved those like bratwurst things, and he kept cooking them. And I had to be like in elementary school, and it mixed with the sickness I was experiencing, it had just given me a bad memory. Wherever I smell it, I'll start getting headaches, and I'll start getting like massively ill if someone tries cook. That's how I know when someone's pissed off at me. They'll just start cooking those things. I'm like, you fucking assholes.
Man, that's like me and Cabbage. My grandmother, for a year straight, there was a guy that lived up the road that had like a little garden. Every day I come home from school, there'd be a fucking box of cabbage, like two cabbages just sitting on the fucking porch. And I'm like, ah, fuck, man, this guy is goddamn cabbage. She would cook cabbage Cabbage was the vegetable we had for dinner before my mom came and picked us up. Every day for a year straight was cabbage. It got to the point now when somebody cooks it, just the smell alone, I'll throw up. Like I cannot be in a house that's cooking cabbage because I'm just gonna get sick. It just triggers like a bad. I get what you're saying with the memory. It triggers a bad memory to where my body's like, "Oh no, it's happening again."
See, that's like that's the thing about me though. Like I'm trying my best. Like this is kind of how I live, which is just like I just let things go. Like I just kind of do my thing and not trying to mess with anybody else's thing. But I also just try and like I don't know. I wouldn't say try anything new, but just kind of live. That's it. Just live. That's the bare minimum. But then you got to think like if you're going to be a parent and you're going to cook your food kids or your cook food for your kids, that was difficult.
There you go. You got it though. I was with you.
What thank God. But what's like what's gonna be the meal? Like you can have like the breakfast on the Mondays or whatever you want. Like I know I went to my buddy's house and like I said, we were hanging out for his birthday and I opened up his fridge and there's like pizza in there. I'm like, why do you guys always have pizza in your fridge? He goes, Pizza Fridays. I'm like, that's the thing. He goes, yeah, in our house we have Pizza Fridays. It's like when you go to your friend's house and you realize not every single person eats the same. They have a different style of cuisine. It's like, what's the one specific for you? And I don't know what that would be. I mean, you could ask your kids what they want to eat, but then they'd be like candy or pizza or something like that. It's like, well, what's going to be something that's going to be customary that you would have? Because I remember I had soup for a full year because nobody would cook on the stove in a house that we moved into.
Uh-huh.
It was so dirty and so messed up, and the gas was so messed up that we just had like microwavable shit for a year. But I was at this point in middle school, so that's like normal as hell to just microwave up something. And then when I was like senior year and like high school years, my dad would be like, I can cook you like eggs, I can cook you like steak, I can cook you whatever you want, what I'm eating. And he was also at this point, my dogs were older. So he was like, I'll feed you the same thing I'm feeding. Like I'm eating steak and the dogs are eating steak and you're eating fucking Dollar Tree chicken sandwiches. And I'm like, yeah, because it's 30 seconds in the microwave and that's it. You shouldn't be in the kitchen longer than 5 minutes. If you spend all day in the kitchen, you're doing it out of enjoyment. You're not doing it because you have to. Like we have so many things now where you can leave and do other things, but there's just people that go, I'm going to be in the kitchen. It's like, how long? 6 hours. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? That's like, and I get it. So that's why I asked you about the house thing. Some people want a huge kitchen. I go, I don't really care for the kitchen that much. I'm not going to be spending most of my day in the kitchen. This isn't the 1800s.
But that's if you can, if you like, all right. So with my kids, man, like if I'm doing a meal, like, cause I throw down in the kitchen, like that's my thing. I get in there and it's like, what can I come up with that I know the kids are gonna fucking love? And I I I base what I cook for them on how they enjoy what I cook for them, because they're the best critics under the sun. My kids will tell me, "Yo, I don't like this." All right, cool. All right, note to self: don't ever cook this for the kids no more. I might enjoy it, but they don't like it. Got it. Then I'll make something. They're like, "Yo, Dad, you got to make this again." All right, note to self: this one's going in the win column right here.
That's wait, so they tell you that because like everyone knows my tell when I don't like something. You just hear the ketchup bottle come out and you just go with the ketchup all over the food, like drench it.
Oh yeah, man. We truthful up here, man. Like I tell my kids, if you got something to say, you say it. If you ever got a problem, address it. Like there's no sense in holding on to that shit, you know. So even with me, if y'all got something wrong that I'm doing that y'all don't like, hey dad, I don't appreciate this or something like that or whatever. Or, you know, I want y'all to be comfortable enough to come to me because I remember being a kid, I wasn't comfortable coming to my dad with certain shit, you know, because I knew he wasn't paying attention. Like my mom, I could tell her, but she didn't get it a lot of times. You know what I mean? There were some things that I needed my dad for that it just wasn't going to happen. So I want to make sure my kids know, hey, you can come to me. I might not have the answer, but I might be able to give you some kind of guidance or anything like that. So when I'm cooking, I hear them, oh, what you cooking? Or they'll, hey, dad, can you make this? And I'm like, yeah, let's throw down. But I gotta have the time to do it. Like, you know, all these cats are talking about, oh, meal prep this and meal prep that. I tried that shit. I was good with that meal prepping for maybe 2 months. And then I just got burnt out from it. Cause you know, I meal prep, had shit set up for at least 4 days, and then the weekend come and I'm like, well, fuck, I gotta cook again. I'll cook a meal for Friday, Saturday, but then I got a meal prep on Sunday and cook this shit for fucking the week. And I was like,
Were you doing it for health reasons or were you doing it for?
no, I was just trying to do the fucking just so we weren't spending a lot of money on like
Yeah.
going out to eat and shit, man, because things started to get expensive, bro. Like once the inflation bullshit hit and we got chicken wing shortages and we got this.
Wait, what? Chicken wing shortages?
You didn't hear about that shit?
No, I didn't
This
know
this
about it. I don't
happened.
ever eat chicken wings.
Oh, you don't eat the Yardbird, bruh? Oh, you're breaking my heart.
No, you got to understand, I'm a fitness guy, so all I eat's like cans of tuna. I'll eat egg whites. So if those are all net, they never really change. I mean, I noticed the price in cans of tuna went up $1. I was like, the Burt, is that what they call them
Yeah,
there?
you don't eat the chicken breast. You
Why am
don't
I
get.
saying down there? You live like in the same state as me. I was like, what? To me, it just sounded so foreign. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? I realized, oh, you're in my area as well too. But I've never heard of the bird titty.
You don't eat chicken breasts.
That's what chicken wings are. I thought they were the actual arm or
No, no,
something.
no, no. The chicken wing, yeah, yeah. And, you know, we fuck up some wings out this
What is
motherfucker,
this,
man.
a
I love
bat? Just
it. But yeah, like this happened maybe 2 years ago, roughly, when COVID was getting ready to come out of COVID. They were like, there's a chicken wing shortage, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because Chick-fil-A is popping off. Man, granted, they don't use chicken wings, but they got chicken meat, chicken breast.
is it meat?
There's no way.
Is it chicken meat? Come on.
I don't know, but with that peanut oil that they cook that shit in,
Yo,
the
that's
batter
what it
they
is.
use.
You know, when someone released that secret recipe of like they just cook it in peanut oil, Chick-fil-A was like, we're killing somebody. Someone's going to
Yeah.
die.
Don't mess with the Lord's chicken now. Chick-fil-A closed on Sunday for the Lord. Don't mess with the
It's
Lord's
like when that one
chicken.
guy created a business called Side Chick, and what it was is it was a Chick-fil-A delivery thing.
Yep,
And
right next
Chick-fil-A
to
was
it.
like, you need to get out now.
But I was doing it so we didn't spend so much money because I mean, going out to eat was just it, it, it wasn't enjoyable. You know what I mean? Because you're like, you go out and you want to have a good time, you want to have a good meal, but then you look at the prices and you're like, man, what the fuck? What? Hey, excuse me. Hey, you telling me this thin ass breast that you gave me with this dry ass broccoli and this potato that you loaded up with all these condiments cost me how much? When this happened? You know what I mean? Like, I can make this at home for cheaper, but it's the process of having to do that work to get that meal.
It's a problem that, like, for me, I don't care about going out to eat. I've not done it for years, so it's not a big thing for me. But then there's a thought that comes in my head, and I started noticing this recently. And I'm not saying like I'm old or anything, but i- if I have kids, that'll change my mindset a lot because I started noticing things that, like, when I'm hanging out with my nephews or something like that, or when I just see my nephews, there's ideas I want to have. They're not old enough to really do a whole lot yet. But like when my one nephew's not able to ride a car seat anymore, I want to take him to the movies. I want to take him to all these places. I just want to spend a bunch of money, which is the complete opposite of how I usually do things. I usually, like, I'm picking pennies just because I'm more about paying bills. I don't need to buy anything. Like, I don't need to go out and party and everyone's like, I gotta, buy a new shirt. I gotta buy a new wardrobe. I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't look bad. So it's like, I don't need to go and spend a bunch of money on that. But when I see like my nephews and I go, okay, when I'm going to be a parent, what is that going to be like? It's going to be a lot of like, more hands-on type stuff. Cause you realize, and then it makes me kind of shatter my own illusions of like great memories I have, which is like Christmas and all these types of things where I thought, oh my God, they did all this type of stuff. They could, with all the money at the time was a little bit different. But then you're looking at like what impresses them, and it's like really simple stuff like just doing this or getting them a toy or doing this, and that's like, oh God, the number of times I went to the dollar store with like a parent or something, I was like, can I get this as a little kid? And then it was like the best thing, and then your whole night was entertained. And I was like, that is nothing. Now that I'm older and I realize, oh my God, looking back at it, so it's like, yeah, make sure that paradise for them, that they do have that experience, but also make sure it lasts for as long as it possibly can. And that's like, that's what I respect about you, because like, I mean, I think obviously we talked about, your childhood as well too, but also you're a very hands-on parent compared to most, which is like insane because I think that's like a new generational thing that's coming up now, at least with my generation. I'm seeing a lot of the kids, friends of mine that are having kids that are very hands-on, but also I understand dog parents as well too. When I went to my buddy's house, I hadn't seen these dogs in like a month. Like that's not that long. My perception of time is so off, dude. I feel like I'm gonna be
But
40
that
tomorrow.
animal is different.
Yeah, so I mean, just with me, it's different. I feel like I talked to my grandma. I was like, "Yeah, I just talked to you like 2 weeks ago." She's like, "Rob, that was 2 months ago." I was like, "What the fuck's happening?" I had to look into Alzheimer's research for guests on my show because I thought I was losing shit. And they're like, "No, it's ADHD." I was like, "What?" They're like, "Time blindness is with ADHD. Your perception of the only thing with ADHD is, and this is what I started learning as well too, um, is that the only two moments in time that matter is the moment that's happening now, and then when people say like later time, which is happening in the future, you don't give a shit. There is none of those concept of that. It's just what's happening right now. The only thing that matters to you is present. And I was like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. Like that's why you put stuff off. That's why you do all this type of stuff. It's time blindness because you don't realize what's going on. You get so wrapped up in the time around you. So that's why I thought my time was. So it's not Alzheimer's. Thank God. Um, but time is moving quickly, and I thought like, "Oh, they were serious. When you get older, time moves quickly." No, it is a saying, yes, but it's also not like how I'm experiencing it. For me, it's just I'm not paying attention to what's going on around me. Like last time we talked was a year and some change. Like doesn't seem like it. Seemed like we are just talking
Oh,
yesterday.
it really does it, bro. Like I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, what? Because look, I got a beard and shit now. And I'm like, man, I didn't have that beard
I'm trying.
before. Hey, look, you'll get there, man. You know what I mean? You young still, you know what I mean? You just getting your baby hairs coming in now.
Baby hairs, get the fuck out of here. I got the mustache going at this point.
Now, you know what? Don't do a mustache, man. You're gonna look like the creepy guy in the van if you have a mustache, I
I got
think.
the mustache.
Yeah, it's a little faint, but you know, it's
It's got to
getting
connect you to the goatee. That's what it's got to do.
okay. Now, if you do that, man, you can pull that off real good. If you get that Doctor Strange look, you can pull that off real good.
My dad just has the full on like all right down here is just full on beard. And he's had it since I mean before I was born. He just kept it. He's like, "Yeah, once I hit 25, the beard started coming in and then that was it. I kept it the rest of my life." I was like, "All I want is either mutton chops or the curl up mustache."
Oh, the joint that they put the joint into I had a friend that her dad, bless his soul, had that shit, man. His joint would come out to about right here,
I don't want
and
it
he
like
have
that. No, that's too much. If you got to walk sideways into doors, that's a problem. Because the mustache is too in there. You go back. Hold on, I gotta walk right there.
the shit was styled though, man. The man has some pizzazz with his shit, bro. Like I always wanted the Fu Manchu type joint. I wanted to go around just flowing this long beard, but my hair doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Mine goes Wolfman.
To the kids thing though, do you find yourself wanting to take vacations because you know that that's going to be a good thing for them?
When I do vacations, I try to have experiences for them. You know what I mean? Like I want them to have an experience that I wasn't able to have. You know what I mean? Like my parents, like when I remember going to school, being young after summer, and one of the assignments was always tell us what you did over the summer, you know? And I'd hear people say, "Oh, we went to Disneyland, we did this, and we did this." And I'm like, man, I rode my bike and went to the ice cream truck and chilled with my friends. That's what I would always do on summertime, you know. But now that I'm able to give my kids these experiences, like, you know, I try to do, I don't really, I haven't taken them out of town per se to like go somewhere for a week straight and stay somewhere for a week, you know, or go, you know, to another state and just stay there. I haven't done that. I do like day trips because it's not as hectic. You know, when you take kids out for someplace for a whole week, you got to plan, I mean, everything. Where are you going to be at? Where are you going to stay? What are you going to do while you're there? You know what I mean? Versus, you know, all right, we're going to go to this museum or we're going to go do this on this day. We're going to chill at home. We're going to relax. We're going to enjoy each other's time. You know, it's more so give them an experience, but also enjoy the time together. Because I know when they get older, we're not going to have that. You know, they're going to have their own families, they're going to be doing their own thing. So if I can get their time and we could just be here. Like I told my girl, she was like, she wanted to go to the beach or whatever this year. I said, okay, let's figure it out. Let's plan it out, and then we can go. But I don't want to stay at the beach the whole fucking time, the whole week. I don't want to be there because it gets mundane. You can only do but so much, A couple days there, cool, good time. Let's get back. Let's reset. Let's do something local, and just kick it. Like my kids and I, man, we'll sit in the living room and we'll be lounging, just bullshitting, just talking shit to each other. We'll watch a show, laugh about some shit, or we can be zoned out. Like we went what did we do a couple weeks ago? We I can't remember what we went out for, but we went out and we had our full day. We played where did we go? We did monster golf, and it's like a little putt place out in Sterling. It's all blacked out, like you can't see shit in there. It's just black light, it's got all these little obstacles, laser tag, all this other shit in there. So we're in there for pretty much the whole damn day, just playing around, playing games. We go out to eat, we come home, and we're home. We're like in a food coma. Like all of us just lounged on the couches, didn't say a word for like 2 hours. We're just chilling, just zoned the fuck out. And my girl looks up and she goes, "You know what? We haven't said a word in 2 hours. We just all been sitting here." I said, "Yeah, but that's also good because we're just chilling. It's just as long as we got the whole unit here, we're good. But when I take them out, like I took them to matter of fact, I took them up your way, or near your way, not really actually your way, but in Maryland. What was it? The Children's Science Museum up there,
There's a
and they got
museum
this.
down here?
Yeah, not in Ocean City, but it's in Maryland. It's Children's Science Museum. I think it's off the harbor. Uh yeah, it's by the near the aquarium. I think it's Annapolis is where it's
Oh,
at
shit, yeah,
believe.
that's in Baltimore area.
But I took them up there and we're in the museum and everything is hands-on because it's children's museum and kids can fuck with everything. And they had this joint, it was a bit of nails. And I was like, oh shit. Yo, it's an actual real bit of nails. They put them on the kids lay down on this bed and the nails push up. Remember that thing that you would put your hand in and you could,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember what that thing is called, but it was just like that. It push up from the bed and push the kids up on a bed of nails. So I said, yo, y'all should do that. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
they're like, I don't know. I don't know. I said, no, go for it. Check it out. Because guess what? When you go back to school and they say, hey, what did you do? You can say, I laid on a bed of nails. How many kids can say I laid on a bed of nails? You know what I mean?
I
Like
love how
that's an
your brain
experience.
works, man. Dude, we gotta do a vacation together. That shit would be hilarious. I'm more like look, and this is a good question I'm gonna ask you because I'm interested in what you're interested in when it comes to learning about stuff. I'm in a big historical thing right now, but dude, I find myself like, I'm like, yo, when can I take my nephew to a museum? I'll drive to Baltimore just to go to like the Air and Space Museum. I'll drive to DC to go to like the national thing for my own interest, but also that's a good experience, to get some like a good excuse to go as well too. I mean, as good as going to an amusement park is one thing, but also going to a museum is a whole other different
For
scenario to get
you,
to learn
man,
some stuff.
how old are your nephews, man?
Oh
Like are they
God, don't
like
even ask me that
five?
question. Probably like 5, 6 is the oldest one, and then a little bit younger. Like I said, my time perception's off, so I guarantee you my brother's gonna send me a text saying, "Damn it, Robbie, he's 7 or 8." And I'm like, shit, I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, man, the aquarium's a nice place to take them, man. You know what I mean? Because all the fish are around, especially if they ever watched Nemo and shit like that. The aquarium. It's not as good as it used to be because you used to be able to go watch the dolphins swim, and they have a section called the splash zone because that's where the dolphin they signal the dolphin to do some shit, and you get hit with a bunch of water from out the tank. They stopped that shit because of COVID. You know what I mean? Which is fucked up, but like I took him to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. We did that joint, man. They love that joint. Like this year, I'm taking them to the Optical Illusion Museum. Like I just found this place, and I was like, "Yo, that place looks cool as shit, man." Like to me, it's a joy because I'm experiencing something I ain't never experienced with them. And they're experiencing some shit they ain't never done either. So I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good one here. I wanted to take them to the Spy Museum, but I don't think it's
what I think it would be for them. I think it's more so for me doing that one.
I just think like there's so many things you can think about making a lasting impression on so much. The last museum I've ever went to was when I went to Hawaii. And when I went to Hawaii, I went to the Pearl Harbor thing. But that whole day is a memory that's going to last with me for the rest of my life because of just like I said, if you ever hang out with me, my life is so weird. And when I mean weird, it's just I don't know. I can have a normal day, but it's never normal. Like I'll witness it. Like when I was 17 years old and I was going to a CVS, I was riding my bike from 12th Street to 18th Street. That's 6 fucking streets. You should not have an experience in 6 streets. My whole day was sitting at home and playing a video game, and that was it. That was all I wanted to do. And I go, I'm going to go to CVS and I'm going to get one of those little Starbucks drinks. Okay. You know, the coffee little things. And this is the time I didn't really care about Starbucks, but they're good coffees. I wanted one. I'm riding my bike to this CVS and I saw something I shouldn't have. And what I mean by that is you take the side streets. So I don't take the main street. I just take the side streets to get to, because I was riding my bike. I was like, I want to go get some air a little bit, you know, get out of the house for a little bit. And I'll go to the CVS. And I witnessed someone doing a drug deal of cocaine in front of their up, like, you know, when you're having a moment with a friend where it's you and your buddy talking and you kind of go, man, imagine like you could be sitting out in front of your front doorstep. No one else is going to experience that but you and your buddy. That's how it's meant to be. But I'm that one off where it's like a neighbor walking by that sees it and you go, oh shit, that was embarrassing. Let's get inside the house. So these guys were just, you know, hand a bag of Coke to somebody. And I'm like riding my bike and I see it. And then all I see is both their heads turn and look at me. And they both start going down their steps to get in their car and like follow me. And they followed me to the CVS. They waited out front. They went into the store, looked for me briefly. I was hiding. And then they went back into their car and then drove off. But I stayed in that CVS for like a full hour because
Just to make sure.
I witnessed something I shouldn't have witnessed. So
Yep.
that's what I'm
And
saying.
there's a lot of
That's what my life is though. So then when I get to like we get to the museum thing, the museum aspect of things. So we went to the Pearl Harbor Museum when I was probably like 14 years old, 15 years old. I was with my grandparents and my brother. And dude, the impact and like how like that really made me appreciate more museums because you're actually like learning a lot of historical shit about Pearl Harbor. You get to go like over where the memorial is in the middle of like the bay part where the sunken ships are below. Crazy, horrible. Basically, that was in the morning, and you're not doing shit for the rest of your day. Okay. That's how it's supposed to go. You go to something like that, and then afterwards, you have dinner, and then you kind of relax. That's an end of the night event. And we did that first thing in the morning. And then my grandmom goes, we're going to the flea market. I was like, what the? I just experienced the most, I mean, it'll make you cry. And that type of thing. And she goes, we're going to the flea market. I'm like, what the fuck, the flea market? So we go to where the football stadium is in Hawaii, and there's all these tents lined up. And it's like being in like I would like one of those back alley markets where there's just a bunch of shit like 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 6 cents, that type. And we're going around looking at everything. I'm like, they got fucking the old school original Yu-Gi-Oh cards that came out that have been discontinued in the original packaging for sale there. All these I bought a conch shell that you can literally blow into and it'll make the that thing. Like you have to like learn how to do it. And so I bought that for like $40. My brother bought like a bunch of stuff. And then we're looking through CDs because like I said, there's about probably 300 different tents and they're all connected together. So you go out of one into another one. And it's just like every single one, you just do the in and out weaving. Like you see stalls set up at conventions, but you can see through everything. This is everything's closed off and you enter and it's like an emporium, like Mr. Mangorium's Magic Emporium, whatever that movie was called. You open up like, what the fuck? There's a downstairs. And then you just like start going. But my brother goes, Robbie, guess what I got? I go, what? He got a DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince CD. Now, understand, my beginning of my morning was going to a Pearl Harbor museum. And by the end of the night, we're listening to You Saw My Blinker, Bitch, where the song goes, bam, bum, bum, bam, bum, 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 bam. And we're jamming out through Hawaii, just listening to bum, 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 bam. Just that beat, dude. I swear to God, I listened to that song yesterday and I was like, this brings back so many memories.
Good memories.
But that's the thing is like, it's not a big experience. It's not something where you have to go, we're going to pay $900 to go to Disney World for one night. It's nothing like that. This was something that literally took our whole day, but it was free to go to the museum. I think maybe it was like $10, $15 to go to the museum. And then you spend what, $5 for a couple CDs, and then the rest of the time you're just driving around Hawaii enjoying the view. And it's that you can find the same simplicity in your own life and in your own town. I mean, every morning I get to see a sunrise over the ocean, which you don't really appreciate because you live here. But you on the drives, it's really, really nice, and it's not anything that's like super, like I said, going to Universal Studios and all that is fun, but it doesn't need to be the only thing that you can seek fun in. And that's like, if you can do that with the people that you're supposed to care about the most, that's all you need. If you can really experience something with nothing that is supposed to be, it's free, it's basic, it's not anything that should be fun, but you could turn it into an adventure. That's the trick. And a lot of people don't know what like they don't have the ability to do that. And it's so simple, but it's not for like everyone. That's not their go-to.
But see, that's the thing. Society has made you think that, like, oh, Disney World is the place to go, buying this ticket to go to Florida and stay at this fucking expensive resort and do all this shit here, or go to
Oh
California
God, let's go to
and
Florida,
do
me and
this shit
you.
here.
I'm telling you,
Oh, man.
the Florida villages.
Man be
Come
tripping.
on.
Look, I'd have a blast out of that shit, man.
Do you know what the Florida villages is, right?
I have no idea what the Florida villages is.
It's a goddamn swinging community in Florida.
Oh shit.
70-year-old seniors. And dude, the Beach Boys played there like a couple months ago. I was like, where is this
Shut
place?
the fuck up, really?
It's a giant community of swingers, man. And it's apparently
hold on, what's
the
it called?
It's called the Florida Villages. And they did a piece on it on Vice. They did a piece on it. So the piece on Vice talked about how that there's a community of swingers in Florida called the Villages, and the way that they coordinate their swinging is by different colored loofahs tied onto their car. So you'll see a car go by.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that joint, because like the purple is like, yo, we're into it or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, you be at Walmart, you'll see this shit hanging.
That's my second documentary. I'm going to the Florida Villages to make a documentary on them. 100%. I want to interview these people, and I want to make it so fun.
Now,
I watched the original piece they did on the news story. The news piece is crazy. It's a couple, and they go, once we moved here, our life just started going downhill. Vern over here started doing hallucinogens. And they're like, what kind of hallucinogens did you do, Vern? And he was like, well, I tried meth, and then I tried cocaine. I'm like, those aren't hallucinogens. What are we talking about? And to set up the documentary, it's like I said, it's like being that thing where you're supposed to be in a situation where you're not supposed to be in a situation, but you're there. They set it up again. So they made this person hold a crack pipe and then light the crack pipe so they can get the footage of it for the documentary. And I go, he did crack years ago, and they're making him just hold a crack pipe and light it for the shot. So they got the actual reenactment of it. And I go, that's really fucked up.
As muscle memory, it's going to trigger some shit. He might be like, oh man, if I just had a little piece in there.
I forgot this tastes so damn good.
Oh man, I remember this fucking feeling. Hey baby, the shoebox. I think I got a piece left. It might be from 72.
Start sniffing into the carpet, trying to find the crack rock that might have dropped in the carpet.
I know there's one here. Remember that Rick James night? Yeah, I know there's one here. Yo, that is fucking great. I did not know that. Oh, that's a new lane right there. Oh man, that's fucking fantastic. Cause see, my dumb ass, I would be searching for like a nudist colony and be like, yo, hey, so y'all just walk around with your shit hanging out? That's what y'all do? Go to hedonism or some shit like that.
I couldn't do that, man. That's too much. Like some naked people out walking around everywhere. I'm like, I would never. Like I said, I work at a gym. I learned that this gym stereotype of the old naked person in the bathroom is 100% real.
Oh yeah, it's real shit. They don't give a fuck. And the older people, they don't give a damn.
You have to coordinate the time.
Everything.
You have to coordinate the time to go to the bathroom is what I do. I know certain times of not to go in there. And I remember I went in there like my first year working there, and there's a father standing in there fully clothed, talking on the cell phone while his 16-year-old son's right beside him, fully clothed. They're just standing in there, and there's a bunch of old naked people in there, and he's just on the cell phone going, yeah, can I get the chicken lo mein? Do you want a spring roll with yours? And I'm sitting there, I'm like going to the bathroom. I'm like, this is not fucking real. This can't be real. This is not normal to do this. And this guy is ordering full on Chinese food because right beside us is the Chinese restaurant. And he's ordering a meal with his son, asking him what he wants as a side, while there's a bunch of old people that are just walking around with one leg propped up on the thing. Like, yeah, the heat isn't working in the showers. It's much like being in Vietnam again. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yo, all that around you, bro, everything that you experience, that's all comedy. You know what I mean? That's what comedy is just the shit that you run into. You don't realize it, but it's actually funny fucking shit as fuel.
I'm
Yeah.
glad it's funny for you because it's scarring for me.
But that's how you got to look at it. It's not scarring, it's comical shit when you think about, like, you know what? I'm in here just taking a piss. I got a grown man ordering Chinese food with butt naked men over here talking about back in Vietnam. I'd lose it. I'd be at that motherfucking luncheon. I'd laugh my ass off. Like, this is unreal. This is great.
I just flushed and I was like, all right, I got to wash my hands. And I'm sitting there washing my hands. And I was like, just don't look up because the mirror's right here. So you're going to see everything. I'm just like, just
You're going
don't
to see
look up.
something hanging out.
Don't look up. Don't look up. Nope. And then like someone says something like, hey, did you know the showers? And there's a little thing. I'm like, yep, go ahead. Yep. Why won't you look at me? No fucking way. No fucking way. You're crazy. Not even going to put soap on. We're just going to walk right out and just go right out there. I'll wash out my hands out there or something.
Excuse me, son. You act like you've never seen a penis before. Don't you look at your penis every day?
One thing that looks like it's been dead since the 60s. I ain't staring at
it. Like, God damn it, boy, this is going to be your future right here. You shouldn't be ashamed of this. See what I'm saying? You can sit there. You're going to think about the next time you go to the gym, like, oh, God damn it, he was right. So this funny shit here. It says, I know it's going to happen.
The funny thing for me is that, like, the number of people I've noticed that, like, because I work really early in the morning, like, I'm the morning shift. So I open up the gym. It's a 24-hour place, but the first shift starts at like 4 a.m.
So you get the stay-at-home single moms and all the motherfuckers that would be running their dog and shit like that.
So I get the old people. I get the, now it's summertime. I get
on a landmine of gold, bro.
So here's the funny thing is that, like, some of the stories, like, and I mean, I have a story I've told on the podcast. I won't say it again just for everyone out there, but I always get a story in the morning. Like I said, my life is filled with weird shit because my odd hours as well too. I just see stuff that's not supposed to be happening and it's happening or something like that. So in the morning, everyone's like, I get them at a very vulnerable point where they don't have, like, their brain's not on, they're not prepared with makeup and stuff to go to the store or anything like that. They're just fresh. And like, so I see a different side of people. And like someone will go, hey, how's it going? Oh, that's great. Oh, fantastic. Okay, have a good one. They'll walk away and you're just like, I didn't even fucking say anything. The person just answered all of their own questions. Like, that's how, because they're not all, they don't care. Nobody like, and that's what I say. Like, I'm always trying my best to be like, good morning. And then like the number of people that have headphones in. So you're like, good, have a good day. And they just walk out. Dude, the rejection from that, where eventually I was like, all right, well, fuck you too. And then they turn around and go, what? And I go, oh, that's the one time they weren't listening to anything in their
because
headphones.
See, I've learned a lot of people just have them fuckers in so they just be left alone. Like it's like looking at a motherfucker when they're coming in for the NBA All-Star game, and you know how the players get off the bus with their luggage. They always got the earbuds and they walking past the camera. It's like, yo, LeBron. Okay. Hey, Butler, yeah. And they ain't paying, I just keep on walking like I ain't got time for this shit. I'm gonna get my reps in and I'm gonna go home.
I would recommend a gym job to anybody, just for an experience, because it's definitely been something like, I mean, that's my life has been the gym every day, working out for like 10 years. So it's like, it's home for me. It's something I would keep the rest of my life, but it's just not really a career type thing. But it's definitely been an experience because the number of people, like, I put up a post, I was like, to everyone that sends me gym memes wondering if this is something I would laugh at. Yes, they're all funny. Every gym meme I come across is something I can relate to because I've seen it happen. I've experienced it in the 4 years or 3 years I've been there. And but another job would be MBA. I would want to know what that experience is like, because I remember getting like I think I'm gonna get my license renewed again. I think they do it like every 4 or 3 years or something like that. And when I got my thing for being 21, we were doing the thing and she was doing like the eye exam part. And she was like, can you read this line, this line, this line? And so I got to like the part where I was at before, and I'm going like this, like trying to press my fucking head against the eye thing.
Oh,
just to make my eyes squint enough to where it focuses in a little bit more to be able to get that. And I go, HJQ1T. And she just goes, you want to try that again? And I go, HQJ1T. And she goes, that's the same fucking thing you said before. If I asked you to try it again, it doesn't mean you're correct. It just means that you got something wrong. And I pop my head up and I go, okay, JQ1T? She's like, there are no numbers in this. And I go, I'm going to say a lowercase L then. And she goes, okay, here's your license. You have a good one. And I just go, okay, so you guys aren't even like, that's what I'm saying. It's like that experience must be like the number of crap you must deal with on a daily basis where you're just at this point, hey, if he kills someone, he kills someone. Go ahead, stamp them and then just drive them off.
You know, it's almost like being a bartender. The bartender's got to see some of the most craziest shit because of what they have to do. You know, especially, you know, you get them fucking idiots, or better yet, if you work at the Waffle House after 12 o'clock midnight.
Oh God, you're hearing some stories from them.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I used to tell people. I love the Waffle House just because of the people that I have met at the Waffle House. Because I've never been at a Waffle House. I can't say that. The people I've met at Waffle Houses are usually after 12 midnight. They're the most interesting people under the sun. The characters that you run into.
I've been told that a lot of people tell me I'm the type of person they want to have a conversation with at a Waffle House at like 2 a.m. I'm like, why? Like, you just say some shit sometimes where it's like, I don't know what the hell. I've never been to a Waffle House. I've only been to a Golden Corral and a Panda China buffet, Panda Express. I've only been to those two places. And I could tell you, watching someone dip shrimp into the chocolate fountain at a Golden Corral that'll stay with you. That'll stay with you.
No. See, the way you describe
that ain't surf and turf. That ain't surf and turf.
Nah, that's gonna come out really rough. Very liquidy. It's gonna be like it back in the ocean.
And then you're kind of like, I mean, don't knock it till you try it, but then you get up close to it and you're like, no, not seafood and chocolate. What's wrong with
that don't work at all. It don't even sound delicious. You know what I mean? Maybe if you put some Old Bay on it, that might change it up.
Yeah, but that just makes everything better. That's like a cheap.
Yeah.
I know people that bring that shit to restaurants.
Oh yeah. Well, see, out in Maryland, you don't have to because it should be everywhere.
It's every table has it.
You know, you gotta have it. That's a staple out there. It's like salt, pepper shaker, Old Bay. Boom. You know.
Where's the pepper? What? We don't use pepper. We just use salt or Old Bay.
But for you, a Waffle House for you would be a magnet because it seems like you're a magnet for shit that you shouldn't see. So the Waffle House would be like an epicenter for you. You know, that's where your chi, your aura would bring.
That's what I'm afraid of. See, that's the thing. If I'm going to show up and it's going to be the one time two crackheads decide that they're going to reenact Pulp Fiction and start pulling out the guns and getting on the table, and I'm like, God damn it. But and then they go, pull out your wallet, and I go, oh God, it's going to say badass motherfucker on it. I bet you. I don't even own one of those wallets, but it's going to happen. And then I pull it out and it's there.
Here's the thing, though. You're going to be safe because the people at the Waffle House, they strapped too. They don't fuck around. You don't want to fuck around with a Waffle House employee that works there at nighttime because they ready for everything to bust off.
What happened with the Waffle House where it just became at 2 a.m. as the weird shit starts happening? Is that just is it the climate? It must be the atmosphere, like a TGI Fridays has that atmosphere.
Here's what happens with it because Waffle Houses, they serve everything. You know, it's like an IHOP. They got your breakfast, you got your lunch and dinner. And at any time of day, you can get any of that shit. At 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when most of the clubs are closed. You know, it was last call for alcohol. Most of the people are already drunk and they're like, yo, I just got to get something in my stomach. Most of the time, Waffle Houses are close enough to these areas to where you just go on in there and then it's a fucking fiasco. But you got like, I'll never forget the one time I went to this Waffle House. We left the strip club and we went to Waffle House and we're in there. And these two women are, you know, and these two women are in there. And now have you, to each their own, but these women were two of the most ugliest women I've ever seen in my life. Now, you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, they are really very rough looking women, right?
Rough around the edges.
But you know, I speak to everybody, so I walk in, I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? Da, da, da. They're like, oh, we're doing fine, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sitting there, I order my motherfucking all-American platter, you know what I mean, with side of grits, you know what I mean, everything fried hard, you know, and I'm eating, and the next thing I know, I hear these women start to sing, and it's the most beautiful fucking voices I had ever heard like in my presence, like when they were singing, I was getting goosebumps. That's when I know somebody has a real good voice. When they're singing, I start getting goosebumps off of just their voice, you know? And I'm like, holy shit. I put my shit down. I sat back and just listened to him. I'm like, I, you know what? He had to give you something because goddamn y'all are ugly. You know? So you know what I mean? Like
Damn.
that's the first thing that hit my head was like, he had to give y'all something, you know? Like that's y'all's gift because nobody expected that shit to come from them. It's like that one lady on what was that show? American Idol that was like American Idol England or something.
Oh yeah. Britain's Got Talent. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. She had a
And
flower
that
dress
opera
on.
lady, yeah. They're like, oh my God. And then she opens up her mouth and it's the most beautiful thing you ever heard. It's like, it was the same thing. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like I went to one Waffle House and it's same time, 2 a.m, and there's a dude outside with this nice ass Lambo. And I'm like, bruh, um, the area you're in right now with this vehicle, ah, bruh, I don't. You might want to get your shit to go. I'm just letting you know now, man. You know, to try to help you out. Oh man, I'll be all right. Okay, that's cool. I seen these cats roll up and they circled this car, and I'm like, yeah, hey, can I get my extra crispy bacon? I'm gonna just go ahead on leave because I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go ahead and roll out. I just rolled on out. I said, man, good luck, dude. And I left. He's like, what are you talking about? And I pointed outside to his car. He's like, yeah, I'll be all right. I got something for him. I said, that's cool. I got my bacon. I'm out. You know what I mean? But there's also just funny shit that happens there. Like I remember I went into one and we were just finishing up our meal. And I guess somebody was sick and must have been in the bathroom because somebody fucked that goddamn bathroom up. Like
Always.
the door opened up, and then the smell that came out and immediately just engulfed the fucking whole Waffle House. I'm like, yeah, you just fucked up everybody's smell. Like, ain't nobody gonna be able to eat up in here this time of night, you know what I mean? Unless you really drunk
That's how
and
they
you
clear
need
you
to get
out.
that in there.
That's how they clear you out.
That's what I was thinking
You
too. I
don't
was
have
like,
to go home, but you can't stay here.
you know, and I'm like, you know, Waffle House employees, I gotta tip my hat up because they deal with a lot of ignorant motherfuckers, man. I mean, a lot of ignorant people, but I still love the Waffle House. Like, I know it's ratchet, but it's something about that ratchetness that I enjoy. You know what I mean?
I'm
I
with you.
know I know the food is gonna be good. Like the more ratchet it is, the better the food gonna be.
See,
You know what I mean?
I see things like that, but also I don't like I had when my great grandpa was still alive. Like I said, they live in Baltimore. It's 3 hours away from me. So it's like, I mean, very rarely, I'd go and see my great grandpa. And I think at the time I was probably 14 years old. And I remember my dad dropped me off and he was like, I'm gonna go run and get his errands and things. He's like 90 something years old. I think my great grandma just passed away like probably a couple months before. And he was like, I'm gonna go get errands for, him and get his pills, medication, everything like that. Go to Walmart, get him some groceries and things of that sort. You just hang out with him, have fun, I like I said, I've met him a couple of times, there's plenty of photos when I was a baby, but also I don't know my personality now, compared to whatever. So we're sitting there just talking. I forgot whatever he was telling me about. He's telling me something about because he used to do NASCAR before it was NASCAR. So he did it on the old dirt track, and he had I found that out
Like some
later.
raceway, whatever they called it, or
Yeah,
some
so
shit
he would
like
tell me
that.
stories, and I'm kind of like half listening and stuff like that. But I loved him. We went outside, and he'd show me these tomatoes. He would grow huge tomatoes, and like he's like 96 or 94 at the time, and he goes, "You hungry?" And I'm like, I could eat. I mean, it's around like 1 o'clock. I was like, sure. Yeah. And he lived in like a really he lived like a trailer home, but like in a old like area of Baltimore. And he goes, all right, let's go get some food. And I'm like thinking, okay, we're like my grandma takes me to like Baskin Robbins when I come over to Baltimore or something like that. But where are we gonna go? I've never been out to eat with you. He gets in his car, 94 years old. Was eventually my car when he passed away. It was a Kia Soul, and we drive to KFC. So he's in his slacks, he's in his like tucked in shirt and everything, and we're both walking into the restaurant. He's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Can I get a 6 piece?" And then we get ordered food and we sat down, and everyone was looking at us like, the fuck are they doing over here? Because we're only 2 white people probably in that area of Baltimore. But
Yeah.
we're in a really bad area. But I don't notice that type of stuff, and he doesn't care. He's lived there his whole life. He doesn't care.
Yeah. He's like,
So
fuck this. I'm
we
at
we
the age now where I'm good.
we're eating like all this, and we're eating the chicken wing things, and he's like, he's like, you gotta eat the rest of your stuff before we go. And I was like, wait till I ate all the chicken on the thing. He's like, he grabs the chicken bone and goes and sucks all of it off the
Sucks all
thing,
that shit
or
off.
it's just the bone. He was raised in the Depression, so that's how he
Yeah.
ate his food and everything. So he
Waste
taught
not,
me.
want not.
So he taught me how to do that, which is why if you ever see me eat chicken anywhere, I usually all right off the bone and everything. And so we get back to the house and everything. My dad's like, you guys hungry? And I'm like, no, we just went and ate. And my dad lived there and then moved out of there, so he knows what the areas are like and everything. And they go, you guys, what you guys ate? And my great grandpa was like, yeah, I drove us down to the KFC down on, and then he rattled off the street name. My dad just goes, you guys went down there? Wait a minute, you drove? And my dad looks at me, he's like, oh Jesus, like, oh my God. And my dad was telling me, I was like, why did you look at him like that when he just explained where he goes? You guys don't know, that's not an area you want to be in, especially right now. Like, it's just you don't want to be in that area, man. And I'm like, why? Because it's just I don't know what's going to happen to you. I'm worried for you guys. And my great grandpa did not care. And it's not like my dad was like super concerned, but my dad was just like, you're 94 years old and you're taking a 14-year-old out there. That's not an easy thing for you to do. He's more concerned from that aspect. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was probably something, but that's me. I just don't view that type of stuff. I'll walk into, even there's areas in my spot where you're not supposed to really go, and I still go there. I'm like, I don't give a shit. If the food's good, that's where I want to go. I don't want to go, and it's cheap. What? Like, come on now. But then there's like, and that's the thing, like, about having a lot of money. I know some people look at places like, oh, you went there? And I'm like, what's wrong with that? It's a place called Ratsy's. And it was a place I would go get great ass pizza because it was cheap. It was, you get giant slices, but they're like, dude, that's a bad part of Philly to be getting pizza at. And I'm like,
but yo, those
shit.
places are fucking the shit. Like the hole in the walls. Oh my God, bruh. I found this one hole in the wall on accident. Like, I kept seeing the spot. I'm like, you know what? Well, I'm gonna just try this joint out. I asked the guy that I was picking up stuff from. I was like, hey man, you ever try that sub place over there? He goes, man, yo, you know what? Go try it out. He goes, telling you it's the best shit you ever had. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I go in there. I'm looking at the menu. I was like, yo, let me get this sub right here. He was like, I got you, man. Don't even worry about it. He goes, your first time in there? I said, yeah. He goes, all right, you're good. I sit down. He comes out with the shit. I'm thinking they're going to call the number, and I go up. He's like, no, he brought it to the table I was sitting at. I've been into this fucking sub, and I was like, holy shit. There's no way. I said, I got up after I finished eating. I walked around to the counter. I was like, yo, man, this sub was the shit right here. I was like, is that the guy that made my shit back here? He goes, yeah. I was like, yo, man, whatever the fuck you did, money. I'm coming back here. I go to that spot now like every other week. I stop by there to pick up a damn sub because that shit was that good. And it's consistent. Like, it's never different. The shit is always as good as it was the very first time I went there.
I've tried to tell people, like, where I've experienced the most like hardcore evil people, the people that I just would never associate with, they're just fucking assholes, have been people that would warn me to stay away from a place like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the people that I meet there. I feel like if you don't, you will meet dicks in the world. Like, you're going to meet assholes, but if you like think about like, oh, there's that, if you hear like, my always response when someone warns me about a place, like, you're just listening to too much news or some shit. Cause like at this point, like, it's just like, go there. If you don't have the energy, like you're afraid or you're uncomfortable, then there's nothing that's going to happen to you. You're going to be perfectly fine. But I think people overthink things too much. And that's why, like I'm saying, if I ever got rich or anything like that, I would be the same basic thing. I mean, if it's cheap, if it's good environment, a good people. Some of the best people I met have been in areas where people be like, don't go there. I'm like, oh man, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Living in like a high class place. Nah.
That's and people have that stereotype in their head. They're like, oh no, you don't want to go to this bad part of the neighborhood. Da, 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 da. Look, there are some things that are fucked up, yes, but you go there without malice in you, you're pretty much good.
I got one checklist thing. Do they got Old Bay on the table? If that's a check, I'm going. It's 100%. And I
Say,
know
man,
in
you just
Maryland and Baltimore, anything like that, they got Old Bay on everything. So I'm like, I'm not even worried. It's like, you guys got can I get the number 6? Oh, you want the Old Bay special? 100%. I know you guys got some menu item with Old Bay on it. Just toss it in.
man, I'm still trying to figure out what sauce they use in this Rofo. I didn't know Royal Farms
Oh, I know.
had
I know.
had this sauce. They call it Chesapeake sauce, right? And I was like, yo, let me get the Chesapeake sauce. And I'm like, oh man, this ain't nothing but Old Bay mixed with something else. But I mean, that shit, when you dip the chicken in that bitch, bruh.
I'll see you go for the chicken. I'm going for the potato wedges.
You could take the potato wedges and dip it in the in that Old Bay. They call it Chesapeake sauce, but that Old Bay sauce, I'm like, oh man, I got to figure out what the fuck they're using. I'm like, man, I think it's just like mayonnaise and Old Bay, but there's something else in there. I'm trying to figure it out to see what the fuck it actually is.
See, when people recommend fries to me, I'm like, go to Royal Farms, get fries. Like, oh, Royal Farms. I'm like, those potato wedges, it's a fry so big you have to break it up in the pieces and put it in your mouth before, because you
You
can't
get
stick the
full
whole
from
thing
the
in.
fucking fry.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing I go there for is the potato wedges. I don't care about the chicken as much. I just want the potato wedges. It's the only place I get a thick cut fry.
The funny thing with Rofo is the only thing I don't like with them is the fucking biscuit. The biscuit, I don't like their biscuits.
Oh, see, I'm a biscuit fan.
So am I. I love me some biscuits, but not Old Bay. Goddamn, got me thinking about Old Bay. Fucking Royal Farms biscuits. I don't like them. You know, I don't know what it is. Every Royal Farms I've been to, the biscuits are just
They're soggy.
too hard. Like
Some of the ones that down here, they're just soggy as shit. I'm like,
them are always like crispy hard. Like I don't want my biscuit to be crispy hard. I want like a KFC texture or I even take Popeye's dry biscuit. You know what I
Popeyes
mean?
is probably the best biscuit, but I like them when they're like burnt or hard because I want to chip a tooth on that motherfucker, dude. I'm telling you, that's a good biscuit to me.
See, with Popeyes, I like putting honey on Popeye. If you
Oh,
get Popeyes
dude,
biscuit,
stop. You're
put some
making me
honey on
hungry.
it,
You're making me
bro.
hungry.
Oh, look, I'm about to take my son. Me and him, we going to breakfast right after this. I told him, I said, look, because my old lady got my daughter. They went camping last night, and I was like, all right, cool. My boy, I said, look, we gonna go get breakfast today, man. We gonna go somewhere. We're gonna like, ain't too many places out here. All I got is IHOP and fucking Denny's. But either way, I was like, you know
The
what I mean?
classic American combo.
Yeah. I said, man, either way, we're gonna go get breakfast this morning, man, and we gonna chill and come back in because we here. We went out and seen the new Spider-Man movie yesterday, which was actually fucking great. It
I
was
was
a
gonna
good,
go see it. I was gonna go see it yesterday, but my buddy's like, let's just go see it tomorrow. And I was like, damn. I was like, man, all right, that's fine. Because I didn't really want to go anywhere anyway.
bruh. It's actually done well. I was the Spider-Verse joint is this whole story was written great, and I'm like, I'm a fan of watching a movie, especially if it was written well and the actors play it out well, and it's something about the animation that plays along with it and the nod that it gives to all of the old Spider-Man shit. You know what I mean? If you're a fan of Marvel and you're a fan of the comics back then and even the movies, you'll see the nuance in it. Like the Mario movie. Another one that was fucking amazing to me because of the nuances that were in it. I'm like, yo, they shot out Duck Hunt, Punch Out, games that you actually played. They gave shout outs in the movie, but if you never played them, you wouldn't notice them. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with the Spider-Verse joint, man. It's actually pretty good. So if you get a chance today, definitely catch it, bro.
Because I gotta ask this, but what's one thing you mentioned you like learning about stuff? What's one thing, like what's a particular subject you're really interested in learning about? I don't think we have ever talked about that.
Ooh, ooh.
We've talked about
With
eating at food restaurants before. That's not new, but
yeah.
at some point we always
Um,
talk about food.
the one thing I do enjoy learning about is more so like the self-help the mind kind of thing, like learning patience because it was something that happened to me when I was younger. I used to work at this place, and this guy that would come there, he'd come there every beginning of spring and beginning of fall. He would show up, and the people I worked for, they were Indian or Sikh or something like that. I couldn't remember which set they were from, but this guy would come in. His name was the Happy Guru, and this dude, long beard, the robe on with the Jesus like wooden sandals. He'd come in there, and the owner of the company, they'd have a back room set up for him. The owner of the company, he would disappear, and they would go in there in the room for like 2 hours and do like some meditating and all this. And we would print out his book, and it was the Happy Guru, but it was all written in Arabic. So I never knew what the fuck this shit was. So the owner's brother came to me one day, and he goes, Mike, you're so happy go lucky. Like, how do you do it? And at the time I didn't understand. I was like, happy go lucky. That's just me. That's how I am. Like, I enjoy life, and that was before I went through any kind of real struggles. And I never understood where he was like, well, I have to study for this. I have to prepare myself to be happy. And I didn't get that at first. Then when the divorce happened and my mindset and mentality really changed, and I was always pissed off. I was always aggravated. I was just constantly just going down this dark ass hole, and I couldn't find a way out. And when I started doing therapy, I was like, I used to read a lot. And he was like, well, why don't you get back into reading? Find something that you liked. And I always liked Alice Cross novels and things like that, about from James Patterson. He was one of my favorite authors. And I was like, well, I get the fiction stuff, but I need to do something for me. I just started getting books on like self-help, and I really dove into it because it tapped into like a rawness that was me at one point, to where it like brought it back out of me. And I really dive into those books just to, take notes of things. And I'm like, you know what? This is some things I actually talk about on a daily basis when I'm just talking to people. I don't know that I'm saying things that I've read or I am reading, and I'm like, all right, I agree with this statement here, learning how to get myself in a financially better position, because I wasn't taught finances, as a youngin. My mom and dad, they weren't taught this shit.
I don't think
You know,
most
tho-
people are.
they knew how to save, and that was it. So now I've got knowledge, and I've applied that knowledge to things that I've done, to where I can now pass this down to my nephews and them. Hey, look, here's what you can do. This is how this works, and it's working for me. But if you start this now, you being 19, you being 22, you being 24, and so on and so on, you'll get yourself set up in a better position, to where I feel that I'm behind the ball on a lot of things, but I know at the end of it, as long as I got something set up for my kids, I know I've started them on a decent pedestal. You know, I might have took me a while to get to where I'm at, but I know I give them a leg to stand on now, where I didn't have that because my peoples didn't understand it. So learning about just finances and self is a big thing for me right now.
It's
Like
a
one of the
it's a devil's bargain type deal, but it's a situation where are you willing to sacrifice your life to make sure that the person that follows you is going to have what you probably won't achieve. Like a lot of people don't want to be the stepping stone to someone else's success, but I feel like the weird way that the world works out is that someone else is your stepping stool to success. That someone has to invest their time and their energy for you to be able to reach your goals. And at turn, someone else is going to have to do that for you to reach your goals. It's like this helping other people type mentality that kind of goes up. And I do 100% believe that. But like if you offer someone like, here's $100,000 that you got at 50 years old, and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to do all the things that I want to accomplish and all I want to do. Or you look at your kid and go, should I just make sure that you have everything for you to go out
that's
there?
that's the mindset I have, because I'm like, all right, I want them to be able to tell their kids and their kids and their kids to be, hey, look, this started with your great 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 granddad. He decided to make this happen, and he taught us, and I've taught you, and you're going to teach them, and you're teaching them. This is how come this is happening, because he decided to make that step. And for all else, it could be just to inspire somebody, really. I'm trying to do this just to make sure everything's good, but I've talked to people to where they're like, there was this one dude I met years ago. I mean, I met him 7 years ago, and I keep in touch with him through Instagram, you know, and he was just coming out of like a rehab, And I don't even know how we got to talking. Matter of fact, it was at the strip club, and I was telling them about the podcast, and we're going back and forth, and we're talking, and I'm like, bro, if you just do little bits by little bits, that's my saying, that's my motto, is just keep moving forward. You do a little bit at a time. Eventually, a big chunk's gonna come off, and it's all right, cool. That's a step that you didn't pass, and you keep doing the little bits. But it's tedious. It's fucking a headache. It's sometimes depressing, but if you keep on going in a straight moving direction, you're gonna get somewhere. It might not be where you want to be at, but it's gonna be where you need to be at that time frame in your life. And this guy hits me up, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years after I met him. And he's like, yo, man, hey, I just want to let you know the things that we talked about. I took it to heart and got my shit together. And now um he tows like vehicles and equipment back and forth. Like he has his own business now. He's got like 2 or 3 trucks. He transports equipment from state to state. Like, I mean, the kid is doing great right now. And that made me feel some kind of like different way. Like, holy shit, I just inspired somebody to do better in their life and didn't even realize it. I was just talking to him, just bullshitting with him, like, yo, you might go through some rough shit, but eventually, man, it'll pan off. And this guy's been sober and clean for going on 8 years now, has had a successful business for 5, and even that right there, if I can inspire somebody, I'm cool with that too. You ain't gotta follow, but if I say something that sparks a leaf in you or sparks a little fire to get you going, cool. I'm cool with that shit too. Like my biggest fear at the time when I was younger was being forgotten. And now I know I won't be forgotten because my voice and shit is out here in the ethos. It's everywhere. You know what I mean? So my kids can pull my voice up. That was one thing when my dad passed away. I'm like, I forgot what he sounded like. But then when I was cleaning out his storage unit, I found old tapes he would record on a reel to reel, like he was a DJ. So I'm like, I got his voice.
The old reel to reel.
Yeah, man. He had a reel to reel and would play the radio, right? And he would act like he's the DJ on the radio station. It was the funniest shit. Because to me, I didn't understand it as a kid. He would just be down in the basement with his microphone and he's talking like he's actually doing the radio. And he recorded a bunch of fucking tapes, of him doing this shit. And my sister and me, we got to laugh. She goes, imagine if dad was alive today and he see what you're doing now. I said, you know what? He would have a fucking fit. He'd have a ball with it. To see me doing podcasts and to see me doing voiceover shit now, he would be very impressed and proud that I've jumped into something that he might have wanted to do, but he never had the tools to do it. And I decided to jump in and start doing this. My son does animation. He's doing his little drawings, and I'm like, look, I'll get you a YouTube channel and teach you how to do the editing and all that stuff and add voices to your shit. And you have buddies at school, hey, check out my YouTube cartoon. Check this out. It's trying. I want to keep the kids in a creative mindset too. It's like, I thought all you had to do was work, and that's how you make a living. I didn't think you could have fun and make a living too. You know what I mean? Because that was like no, you don't have fun and make a living. You can't do that, but you can, especially now with things are the way they are now. Shit, you can have a blast now and make a living, but it takes a while to get profitable with it. But I'm like, you know what? I'd rather my kids be creative and enjoy what the fuck they are doing than having to do the shit that I got to do. Like, I got to get up and go to fucking work, drive this fucking tanker all day long, and then come home and try to do the shit on the side as best I can, And it's like, if I can give them just a little bit of that freedom to where they can explore and venture out and do their thing for a while, and maybe their shit doesn't work, and maybe they do got to get a 9 to 5, but you tested the waters or something. Go explore.
You don't live with regret.
No, you can't because that shit'll eat you up too. Like, I had regrets when my dad passed away. Like, we spent 4 years not talking to each other, and I was like, those 4 years was like, for what? Like, why be that petty to each other when there was no need to be? It's like, but I can't get that time back now. So I try to make sure I do the things I want to do and say the things I want to say. Granted, people ain't gonna like them, but you know, at this point, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. If you don't like what I'm saying, you ain't gotta listen. You don't like being around me, you ain't gotta be around me. I'm not forcing anybody to do anything that they don't want to do.
It's like when I hear like a bunch of my friends, like they'll start having like little drama and stuff like that. And I'll just be like, I don't want to get involved. There's not a fucking point. Like, I don't get it. Like, it goes in one ear for me and out the other. Like when someone's like, oh, we're not talking to this person because this person doesn't talk to this person. And because of this situation that happened on this last weekend, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk to anybody I want to fucking talk to.
Yeah, yep.
And, whatever the drama is, I don't give a shit. I don't put my name in the mix. I do not care. And don't ask for my take on it because I'm going to switch the subject to something about birds that I know nothing about.
Yo, I like that. Yo, before we go anywhere, though, I got to ask you about this kneecap thing. I saw the shit about you fucking saying the girl has to have, like, good-looking kneecaps.
Oh.
I lost it, bro.
Okay.
I lost it.
I was in a podcast thing with my buddies and we were talking about like what's the one thing, like everyone's got one thing that they don't, and I'm like, for me it's bad kneecaps. And the story comes from, I remember being and this is going to be so bad. Oh, okay. I went to my brother's high school talent show thing, and it was when he was trying out, and they're going to see who was going to be in the talent show and everything. And he was singing Green Day song, because my whole family plays music and does instruments and all that type of stuff. And so the person that gets up before, like they're doing the practicing to how they're going to introduce people on the thing. And one of the girls got up there, and she was wearing a nice dress, very gorgeous girl. I mean, absolutely like 10 out of 10. But then I kept looking at her fucking kneecaps because they look like a face in the kneecaps, and not a Mona Lisa, like a Dick Cheney or someone that's like evil. And I'm like staring, and like I'm sitting beside my mom, my brother's in the seat behind me, and he just kind of leans in between both, because like movie theater seats in the auditorium, and he like leans in between both of us, and he goes, do you see? I'm like, her fucking kneecaps. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And my mom just like looks over at both of us, goes, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? And we're just like, I'm glad someone else is thinking about it. Maybe that's just a thing in our family that we just noticed the kneecaps, but I'll never go after a thing with bad kneecaps. And my buddy's like, what? And in that podcast episode, I was like, when you can see a face in it, like I can see Abraham Lincoln, like, it's just to me, that's like I don't know. It's a small thing. Maybe I can get over it at some point, but to me, it's like most people recognize, like, see what shoes that person was wearing. Like everyone's wearing this new brand of shoes called Liftoffs or something like that. They're like athletic shoes or something. And I'm like, I never noticed a person's fucking shoes. But I work at a gym where most of the time you see people in skirts or athletic gear, so it always goes above the kneecap. And that's like the new style of board shorts. And I live in a beach town, so that's all I fucking notice is kneecaps. And I'm just constantly looking around. I'm like, God, which one has the genetic gold mine?
The Attack of the Killer Kneecaps, yo. That shit, man, be gone. I was like, I gotta find out what the kneecap thing is.
You got something too. One thing about someone that you just can't.
My thing is it's the teeth and breath. Like, if you got some funky ass breath, like, man, I knew this shorty. The same thing, beautiful woman, but as soon as she opened up her mouth and said hi, that shit made my eye twitch. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, like my eye twitched, and the one tear came out, and I'm like, oh no, you gotta shut up. Like, don't talk no more.
Brush your teeth with shit. Fuck.
Like, you gotta gargle, like, get the old school yellow piss color Listerine and just drink it.
The
if
alcohol
you drink
one.
Yeah,
that's the stuff I use. My grandma used to use it all the time. She's like, this is the only one that works. But that stuff,
you use the piss color one. You let your mouth burn like that? Nah, bro.
Dude, that'll sting. That'll sting. But your breath will be all right for a couple of days. Right. Yeah.
A couple days ain't the fucking word. You accidentally swallow that tiny little bit that gets stuck back here. Oh shit. Your sinuses will be open. You breathe like a motherfucker, like a champ, though.
COVID doesn't. I'm not even gonna say that. That'll get me banned off YouTube if I said that.
Yeah. But it'll burn anything away. Hint. Yeah.
Light fires with that motherfucker, dude. That's the stuff that even the moonshiners go, I won't touch that. Won't touch that.
Yep. Yeah. Don't do that. You think it's gonna make you go blind? Take a swig of that, yeah.
But Mike, we've been going on for almost 2 hours now.
Yo, man, yeah, it's been great. I gotta get my boy some
I know.
breakfast this
Get some
morning, man.
breakfast, man. I appreciate the time, dude. It's always a pleasure talking with you, man. Hopefully we don't have to wait so long till we chat again.
No shit, man. No shit, man. It's been fucking lovely, bro. It's been great. I'm glad you reached out. I'm glad we still stay in touch with each other, man. It's fucking fantastic,
You were
bro.
on what, episode 100 something of mine?
Yeah.
Now we're up in the
first time we did
1400s.
it.
We're up in the 1400s.
Like, bro, like, hey, man, keep on getting it, bro. Just keep on getting it, man. Look, whatever life throws at you, man, handle that shit. You got it, bro. Like, you got all the time in the world, man. When you really think about it, you're good.
Promote the Mason and Friends show. Any other links you got? If you got, do you have a profile page set up for your voice acting yet, or is it just
Not yet? I'm still working on that. I got a website I'm actually building currently. So, but yeah, you want to check me out? You can check out the Mason and Friends show. Wait a minute, there we go, right there. Just go there, type it in your internet search, it'll bring it up. You'll see the Gonzo logo. That's us right there. You can catch me on my Instagram at JAY_Rod_Statham. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And be on the lookout. I'm gonna have a LinkedIn and all this other shit for my voiceover. So, little bits by little bits, ladies and gentlemen, keep moving forward. That's my thing.
And I'm going to link all your links in the description. It's been a pleasure chatting with you again, Mike. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank Podcast.